100 million people's lives,
can
right?
I just ask you a simple yes or no question?
Yeah.
Not exactly yes or no, but who are you voting for?
I'm voting for whoever allows me to make decisions more, and not somebody that decides what's good for me or not.
Bro, we're not.
Wait, first off, that is like, so we just ask people questions like that, like, who are you voting for? Like on live television. I mean, I don't know. Do we still ask that? I mean, if somebody asks me that question, though, I would tell them like right off the bat, like, I don't care. But his answer was perfect. Instead of just saying a name, he gave you a value. So I ran into this clip with Bill Maher and Patrick Bet-David, and I don't think that people noticed this clip when they had watched this Club Random with Patrick Bet-David. And I think it was worth talking about because Patrick brought up a couple good things here. And I just want to go over them. I thought he did really good with this little spar that they have going on.
Not in a debate here.
No, the left.
I asked you a yes or no.
Vaccine.
Wait a second.
The state of California and the industry you're in force you to take the vaccine.
So you don't know.
So in this episode, like right before this argument, what's happening now, they were talking about, mandates and stuff like that. So we're not going to cover that part, but that's why he keeps bringing that up. That's what they were just talking about.
Who you're voting for?
I'm voting for whoever allows me to have more freedom with the choices I make.
And you don't know that yet?
It's definitely not going to be Biden.
Well, then it would be Trump, wouldn't it?
If it's between the two choices?
What? But look at you.
Are you kidding me? It's not even a close call,
but
by
the
the
fact
way.
that you just can't.
First off, he's like, it's not even a close call, by the way. Like, that is hilarious.
Own it is very weird, man. This like, who are you voting for? Well, the Constitution says it's 2 words, Trump, Biden. I'm voting for Biden. I'm owning that. Do I think he's perfect?
But I don't,
no.
But I don't think it's like that.
Not even,
I don't think it's like that. I don't think it's like
well,
that.
Just say you're for Trump.
So he's going to break it down why he's answering that way, right? But even for Bill Maher to just say, I'm voting for Biden, I just basically on some, I just am. Do I think he's perfect? No, it is what it is. Of course, nobody's perfect. So that argument already is so annoying when people say, well, nobody's perfect, or, well, he's not perfect, but perfect should not even be in the equation. You should bring up some examples of what makes you want to vote for this person.
Trump.
If a person
I don't
watches
dislike you for your. I don't dislike.
Bill, if somebody watches my podcast, they're gonna know who I'm voting for.
Well,
if somebody watches a podcast, they're gonna sit there.
How odd that you can't just say it then.
Because to me, I'm voting based on values. I'm not voting based on.
Okay, but we know what the values are of Biden and Trump and their policies
right.
are. We know everything
the
about
left
them.
Is about force. The right is about choice. I don't want.
So when the reason, and he's basing it on that last year, that 2020, 2021. And I don't want to go all the way into the situation of why he's saying that. We know, like I already primed you before and told you like what was going on. And there was a lot of that. I mean, you could literally see the divide. Like I live in a state where the governor was Democratic, blue state. And well, let me tell you, it was a lot. It was a lot. And then I'm looking back at Florida or South Dakota and everybody was having a good time. And I'm like, yeah, that's kind of how it should be, with parameters, obviously. Right. And so, what he's saying makes sense. And to just say, he says he's voting for values, like he probably could rattle off 4 other reasons why he would vote that way. But he's trying to at least give him the simple point of, I'm voting for values. I'm voting for a position where I can make as many choices with my own life than being forced into other things. And that's how somebody's going to think. It's not even about like, oh, I'm voting for that person because he's a good moral person. And I've heard that argument on both left and right, where you have people who say like, oh, especially in 2020, literally people were saying we're going to vote out racism. That is so ridiculous. There's another R word I wanted to use for that. Vote out racism. There's no such a thing. That was a campaign slogan. We're voting out racism. How the heck? That like, and y'all still complain about it. So what do you mean? So it just doesn't make any sense. These moral arguments, we're not supposed to put this moral full moral fortitude, like on a human being. That's how I feel. I'm not worshiping the president, right? But I heard that on the right too. And remember, this is kind of an old clip, but at the time it was like between Trump and DeSantis, and it's like, oh, you can't be a Christian and vote for Trump. You know, DeSantis is more of the moral. You know, why? What kind of? Why do we have to even bring that into it?
Want to be forced
Again,
to have to do something I don't want to do.
I get that. You seem to think that that is the sunum bonum of all political issues. It is a very important one to me. There are other ones.
Such as what?
Uh,
What's above force versus freedom?
Crazy person in the White House?
According to who?
Again, well, it's my opinion.
That's
It's my
right.
vote.
Right. It's subjective. That's what he's saying. Crazy person in the way. So hold up. You want to give, so I'll give up my, as you know, my freedoms. So I don't have a crazy person in the White House, and I have a morally good person in the White House. No moral person is going to really ask you to give up as many freedoms as possible. Like, think about it. Like, it's not like, I mean, obviously we can't just do whatever we want, but this whole notion of I'll give up a little bit of liberty for safety is what got us into this mess in 2020, 2021, right? There's no such thing. Okay. So that's a subjective argument. It's not a tangible argument.
It's all
Okay,
just like
but
it is
set
yours.
that aside. Set
But
that
it's
aside.
hardly
Let's
the
go
only
2028 candidacy. Then it's not going to be Trump or Biden. Forget about the name. And we don't even see a faceless candidate. Put a faceless candidate, Bill. So we don't have a name, right? That's faceless.
Bill is annoyed. Like he's like, let me just have another drink.
What values are important to you? Force or freedom? We're not talking 24. We're going 28.
I mean,
First of all, can we talk about the hand going in? So all this money y'all have, y'all, sorry, you can get an ice thing with like the spoon, like the whole hand palm going in thing is like, I'm sorry, I'm a stickler for things like this.
it's all good to be a reductionist, but I'm sorry. I don't find it intellectually honest to be among the things I don't find it to think you can reduce the entire election and our way of life to 2 words.
No,
it's just too much more complicated than that.
But if
I don't want to be forced.
And listen, I like his shoes too, by the way. I just wanted to show you guys that. All right, go ahead.
Right to do anything
Sure.
that I shouldn't do, but I understand why they have to force me to like not shoot you or force
That's
me
law and
to
order.
pay or force me to pay taxes.
Okay, so you know what I mean? Like, come on, y'all. Like, don't. So then Bill goes on and he makes the ridiculous argument, you know, like semantics. Okay, force me not to do crime. That's law and order. Like he said, these are infrastructures that are already in place. We're talking about forcing you to stay home. Okay, so, and in a lot of blue states, that's what was happening. And that's not the only argument for this. It's like, but this is just one that Patrick Bet-David is bringing up. And think about it, this guy's a businessman. He's looking like, yo, man, I don't need anybody to have any hardcore reins on the country where I can't move around as a businessman. I need somebody who's going to make it logistically as best as possible for me to get what I need to get done. And I can get that. That, again, you know, when Trump was president, I will say the gas prices were lower, less inflation. People are going to bring up 2020. Let's kind of go a little beyond that, right? Like, let's go a little behind that rather. There was just more security. We weren't facing 3 wars. All of that drives up inflation and inflation in the supermarket, right? Because they come out with the numbers and they say, oh no, the inflation's going down. But like, you know, we fudge the numbers all the time. But it all matters. So the thing is, the more money I have in my pockets, I can make different decisions or move around differently and make different plans with my future. I'll figure it out no matter who's president, right? But the point is, why go through a bunch of hurdles for subjective arguments of moral fortitude that doesn't exist in either person? We are not here. And when I say, again, I'm not saying that these people are just the worst ever, but we're not here to worship presidents. Okay. There's a God for that. And we should make objective arguments and vote our values, as in our logistically good values, right? The war thing, okay, I can see how, like, but still, it can't be about who the subjective argument of the person's character, as in they're a good guy, I could have a beer with them, is very dangerous at this point in time.